The Missing Link by Leslie J. Cross, taken from the autumn 1946 issue of The Vegan. Today, as a practical philosophy, veganism is incomplete, for it cannot cover the span of human life. The missing link is from birth to 6 or 7 months. During this period, no one may, with sincerity, advocate that a mother unable to feed her baby from the breast should feed it on a vegan diet. It is a sad and serious reflection that a civilization that can produce miracles of destruction cannot feed a baby in a humane and reasonable way. My wife and I had a great deal of experience in bringing up our 2 children on a vegan diet. From this, and from the experiences of others, I have no doubt that if a child is fed from the breast for 6 months or so, or even partially fed from the breast, it can for the whole of its life follow a vegan path. The natural way to bring up a baby is by breastfeeding until the baby is weaned. Any other method is a substitute, but, and a very big but it is, that substitute ought to be open to neither the ethical nor the scientific objections which clearly condemn the use of animal milk. Our son John is now 4 years old, as vibrantly healthy and as mentally lively as anyone could wish. He was fed on cow and gate except for a very little breastfeeding during the first few months, until his parents became vegan when he was 7 months old, since when he too has been a vegan. When Sally Ann was born, in March 1945, we decided that if it were possible, we wanted her to be a vegan from birth. For a few weeks she was breastfed, and from then until about 7 months she had a supplementary feed of nut milk, sometimes with soya. We had no difficulty until she was 8 months old. After a month without any breastfeeding at all, there could be no possible doubt about the genuineness of the commodity remarks which come from all sorts of people, often complete strangers, who stop to admire her. But Sally began to show signs of being unable to digest the nut milk feed which she had taken easily while being breastfed as well, small as the breastfeed had been. The position was also aggravated by the following causes. 1. We were living with relatives who are neither vegetarian nor vegan. 2. The impossibility, in spite of tremendous and nerve-wracking efforts to ensure an adequate supply of nut cream, which frequently reduced us to the point of despair and made steady feeding impossible. 3. The non-standardization of the nut cream, each tin being of different colour and consistency. 4. The presence in the milk of what we humorously described as gravel. However we strained the milk, it seemed impossible not to let through some tiny particles of nut sediment, which blocked the feeding teat and may have had some effect upon digestion. Sally was sick, vomiting the feed sometimes hours later in the same condition in which she had taken it. A change to soya milk and again to patent barley with added weak nut milk were both at first successful, but soon the sickness returned. When it was clear that we could not continue without medical advice, we asked Dr. Pink to see her, but so rapid was the deterioration that my wife took her to Stonefield before the appointment with Dr. Pink became true. At Stonefield, after coaxing, a great deal of patient work and experiments with different feeds, Sally slowly recovered. She had acquired a habit which was difficult to overcome of turning her head away from the proffered feed, whatever it was, and firmly closing her mouth. Ultimately, Stonefield nursed her back to splendid health, but the importance of the recovery lay in the fact that cow's milk was among the food they used. Dr. Pink made, among others, the following observations. 1. Sally was suffering from starvation and would have been in danger of her life if she had not been induced to take food which she could digest. 2. We, her parents, had been wrong in forcing a vegan diet upon her when she was unwilling. To this we replied that Sally had taken a vegan diet with success until prior to taking her to Stonefield. 3. Veganism for very young babies was underdeveloped, one of the missing items being an easy digested non-animal fat. To these remarks of Dr. Pink's, I should add that the experienced matron at Stonefield was very strongly against trying to feed babies below weaning age on a vegan diet. We kept Sally on a lacto-vegetarian diet for 2 or 3 months and then reintroduced the vegan diet. For some time now, the milkman has stopped calling at our house. Sally is growing lovelier every day, and her future as a vegan is assured. The experience is important because it throws into relief the need for research and development into the production in this country of nut or vegetable milks for babies' very early days. I understand that America has produced a vegetable milk that approximates closely to human milk, so that much of the way ahead could be learned from the experience there. While vegans quite naturally want to bring up their children in the way they believe to be right, and would support such research and development for that very good reason, they would also agree that many benefits would accrue to everyone if a cheap, easy to use and dietetically sound vegetable milk could be developed to take place of disease-ridden animal milk. Two matters are of extreme importance. The vegetable milk must be cheap, and it must be easy to use. Nut cream is neither cheap nor, for an infant, easy to use. None but the enthusiast could be induced to carry out the necessary preparation. Paul Spencer tells of some friends of his who brought up their daughter from 2 weeks to 11 months on a vegan diet without breastfeeding. This is the only case I know of which could be taken as evidence that a vegan diet from birth, 2 weeks is good enough, can be successful. But in this case, there was the triumph of economics over aspiration, for at 11 months, the parent could no longer afford the high cost of nut cream and the child was reduced to animal milk. The human milk bank is useful and perhaps vital in cases of extreme danger, though in the absence of good vegetable milks, one must reserve judgment as to their necessity. I am sure of this, however, that, all things being equal, I would prefer a baby of mine to have a vegetable product. Stored human milk seems to be open to certain general objections, and while one must admit its value today and its possible value in extreme cases in a future and better world, it does not offer a suitable alternative to the production of a good vegetable milk, which ought to be pursued with vigour. There is no reason why several standardised brands of vegetable milk, suitable for the different needs of infants and others, should not be produced. It is, in fact, a tragic commentary that we have so far preferred to exploit and cause suffering to the highly sentient animals, rather than to pursue the healthier and kindlier way which awaits us, if we will but search it out.